The Bold and the Beautiful star reveals the storyline that led a fan to scream at her in Times Square. The Bold and the Beautiful fan favorite Heather Tom, Katie, shared that she was confronted by a fan in Times Square over one of her soap opera storylines. After 35 years in the soap world and appearances on 4 different shows, Tom has dealt with plenty of fans who disagreed with her character's decisions. But one role upset a viewer so much that the fan actually screamed at Tom on her way to a play in New York City. Clapperboards sign up for Parade's daily newsletter to get the latest pop culture news and celebrity interviews delivered right to your inbox. Clapperboard. Despite spending most of her soap career on The Bold and the Beautiful and The Young and the Restless as Victoria, it was her time on One Life to Live as Kelly that had a fan yelling at her in the middle of Times Square. The baby switch storyline was super fun, and I loved crossing over between One Life and All My Children, but people had big reactions. I remember I was in Times Square one time, and I was crossing the street to go see a show. This woman stops in the middle of the crosswalk and she's like, "You give that baby back." I was just like, "Okay, will do." Noted, but very visceral, angry, Tom expressed to People magazine. On One Life to Live, Kelly was involved in a baby switch storyline that originated on All My Children, thanks to her brother, Paul, David Tom. It all began when Kelly had a miscarriage, and her brother kept it from her and her husband, Kevin, Dan Gauthier. Paul delivered 2 babies and gave one to Kelly, passing it off as her baby. When Kelly did learn the truth, Paul blackmailed her, forcing Kelly to keep the secret so she wouldn't lose Kevin. Eventually, Kelly did the right thing and gave the baby back. It was the pivotal storyline for Tom during her 3 years on the ABC soap. Related, Days of Our Lives legend Suzanne Rogers, 82, addresses her future on the soap following her cancer battle. That's not the only storyline Tom has been talking about recently. Tom addressed the controversial storyline of Luna, Lisa Yamada, sexually assaulting Katie's son Will, Crew Morrow, on The Bold and the Beautiful this year. During her appearance on the Soapy podcast, hosted by her The Bold and the Beautiful co-star Rebecca Budig, Taylor, and Days of Our Lives Greg Ricart, Leo, Tom shared another of her craziest encounters, and it wasn't the one from Times Square. Even so, Tom has nothing but love for soap fans, explaining that if it wasn't for their passion and dedication, she wouldn't have a career. The Bold and the Beautiful airs weekdays on CBS. Next, soap icon John Lindstrom reveals General Hospital, future amid highly anticipated return. This story was originally published by Parade on December 2, 2025, where it first appeared in the news section. Add Parade as a preferred source by clicking here. The first time Marissa Vale realized she wasn't just acting anymore, but living inside the emotional universe of The Bold and the Beautiful, she was standing in the middle of Times Square, disguised in an oversized hoodie and sunglasses, holding a coffee the size of her anxiety. It was supposed to be a peaceful morning. She had just wrapped a whirlwind week of filming the soap's most explosive arc of the year, the one where her character, Roxanne DeMarco, steals the embryo of her on-screen sister and secretly carries the baby herself. The writers called it a modern twist on betrayal. The fans called it the crime of the century. Marissa called it Tuesday. She loved her job truly. She loved the absurdity of it, the emotional depth she got to explore, the long days on set where the cast bonded over stale craft services brownies and plot lines wilder than any human imagination should be allowed to generate. But she had underestimated one thing. Soap fans forget it's fiction. And nowhere do they forget that more loudly than in New York City. The encounter. It happened suddenly, like everything in Times Square does. Marissa was waiting to cross 45th Street when she heard it, the unmistakable sound of someone drawing in a dramatic, chest-rattling breath. Roxanne DeMarco, how could you? The name hit her like a flying pigeon. Not Marissa, her real, very non-embryo-stealing name. No, Roxanne. Her scandal-plagued alter ego. She turned. Slowly. A woman wearing a sequined, I Red Heart NYC baseball cap stood frozen on the sidewalk, mouth open, one hand clutching her chest like she'd just witnessed a murder. Which, in fairness, Roxanne had attempted on the show, twice. Marissa began, pointing at her own face as if she needed confirmation. Are you talking to me? The woman stepped forward. The crowd parted around her like she was Moses crossing Broadway. "You ruined your sister's life," the woman shouted, waving her phone in the air. "I watched the episode this morning. This morning. On my treadmill. And I almost fell. Off." Marissa blinked. Somewhere behind her, an Elmo character paused mid-handshake with a tourist to watch. The woman wasn't finished. "You stole her baby," she screeched. "Her baby, Roxanne. What kind of monster are you?" A group of teenage girls recognized Marissa and immediately began recording. Someone shouted, "It's her." Someone else yelled, "Do the evil laugh." A man selling knockoff sunglasses asked if she wanted a discount. Marissa held up her coffee like a white flag. Okay, she said gently. "First of all, I'm Marissa. Marissa Vale. Roxanne is—" "Don't you say she's fiction," the woman warned, wagging a finger. "I've been watching this show since it started in 1987. I've seen every wedding, every fake death, every secret twin. I know Roxanne DeMarco like I know my own daughter." "Well," Marissa said, "Roxanne thanks you for your dedication." Behind the woman, a small crowd had formed. New Yorkers love drama, even better when it's happening for free, outside the M&M store. A man with a pretzel yelled, "What did she do this time?" "She stole a baby," the woman screeched, pointing at Marissa like she was identifying a suspect in a lineup. "Oh damn," the pretzel man said. "That's low." No, I didn't steal a baby," Marissa insisted. "Roxanne stole a baby. I just act it." "Act it?" the woman repeated, as if the word were foreign. "You looked pretty real when you told your sister the truth." "I have never screamed at my television like that." Marissa winced. "I did put a lot into that scene." "You bet you did," the woman huffed. "You broke her heart, on a cliffside, during her vow renewal. That's sociopathic." The pretzel man chimed in again. "This show sounds lit." A teenager asked, "Can you cry on command?" Another added, "Say the line. Say the line where you confessed." A dozen phones lifted. The crowd waited. Marissa sighed. She was a professional. If she didn't give them something, they'd chase her to the subway like a pack of dramatic wolves. So she took a breath, squared her shoulders, and delivered the line that had apparently ruined this woman's treadmill workout. "Because you never deserved the life you had, Cassandra. So I took it." The crowd gasped like they were watching a Broadway show. Someone clapped. The woman, the screamer, leaned forward, eyes wide with the kind of emotional betrayal usually reserved for tax audits. Then unexpectedly, she hugged Marissa. Not a polite hug. A full, squeezing, slightly sweaty Times Square hug that smelled faintly of caramel corn.